Okay, so I am getting ready to start the Easy 8. As you can see, I have the instructions here, kit's right here, ready to go. And as I mentioned in my introduction and review of the kit, I wanted to build it in a version that would have seen action alongside my grandfather's unit, the 417th Infantry Regiment, towards the end of the war. Right here, I have this book called War Chronicle: An Infantryman with Patton by Howard M. Randall. Howard Randall was a platoon leader in K Company of the 417th Infantry Regiment. And I thought I'd start using some of my books pertaining to the 76th and the 417th and see if I could find anything. And lo and behold, near the end of the war, you got this great shot of a Easy 8 piled high with 417th infantrymen. So there you go. And going off of the attachment list for the 76th, it could have been near the end of the war, it could have been 735th Tank Battalion, the 707th Tank Battalion, the 749th Tank Battalion, or part of the 6th Armored Division. So I'll do a little bit more research and narrow it down as to which one it probably was during these dates, and I'll get one of my other books that has a chronology of their actions and figure that out. But that's the proof I needed, so I am going to be going with if there's specific markings for those vehicles. Some of them, didn't have many markings on them. Some of them did. But if there's some that has specific markings, I will see if I can find some aftermarket or just, come up with my own. So there's that. So now I'm going to get started actually building. Okay, the first steps on this one. Step 1, step 2, step 3, 4, 5. They are all the beginnings of the lower hull, and it's pretty straightforward stuff, so I'm probably not going to get a lot into the technical aspects of putting it together, because it looks pretty simple, and Tamiya kits usually are. But I'll just kind of keep an eye out, and if anything pops out that I need to talk about, I will explain a little bit further. Alright, I've started all the construction, and I've actually done steps 1 through 20. I'm not going to bore you with all the details because there's not a whole lot to talk about because everything just went together. I've got the lower hull is all complete. Lower hull is complete. I did not attach the wheels because, as is my practice, I like to paint without the wheels on just so I can get in there a little easier, and I want to be able to do some weathering in there. So that is done. The upper hull is done except for the tools. And again, that's one of those things that I like to do after I get everything painted. And I don't attach those parts. I paint those first, then attach them, and then weather the whole thing together. So that is all done. All the wheels, the front drive wheels, the return rollers, idlers, etc. Those are all done. So tracks won't actually get attached until later. And the kind of cool thing about this kit is the fact that this thing can be put on and taken off it just snaps into place. Well, anyway, that fits down there, that fits right there. So it's kind of cool like that, because I can actually get everything. I can paint the top and the bottom and then install the tracks, and then install the upper hull like that. So it's pretty cool. So I can get all that underneath there really easily and then install this. So it's another one of those Tamiya things. It's pretty cool. The main reason I'm doing this segment of video is I'm on step 21, which is where I assembled the spare track links. And here's a spare track link here, and I just have to attach the guide horn in the middle. But here's what I want to talk about, and this is for my beginner modeling buddies. This is something to keep an eye peeled for. For example, know where there's supposed to be a seam and where there's not. Now, back in the old days, I built an M4A3 with the 3-piece transmission housing. I don't know how well you can see it in the video without me doing a close-up. But this is bolted together right here. And there was a bit of a raised seam on the model right there. Well, not only was that, from the molding process, but there's also supposed to be a seam there because that's where the two pieces bolt together. Well, me being Mr. Detail dude, I scraped all that smooth, just made that a smooth piece, and didn't find out till years later that no, that's not the way it's supposed to be. Which brings me to the track on the Easy 8, this particular track. Now, I can't. This is, according to the illustration here in the Sherman in Action by Squadron, the tracks on this vehicle are T66 single pins. It's an all-metal track, and that's what it looks like right there. Now, in this illustration, or this photo right here, I'm going to zoom it in here, hopefully. You can see clearly that on the edge of this track there is a mold line on the real deal track. There's also a mold line on this piece of spare track here, as well as on the flexible styrene track. Okay, now that's something you want to watch out for, because not only is that is a mold line as well. Okay, that's where the molds come together, but that is also supposed to be there because that's what's on the real track. So it's, from casting or whatever. So that's just kind of a little, pointer, a little tip there to make sure you watch out. And some of these things that look like mold or seam lines, they may actually be mold or seam lines due to the molding process of the kit, but it also might be there because it's supposed to be there on the real deal. So that's just a quick note for my beginner friends out there, and anybody else who may overlook something like that, because I know I did. So I'm going to clean these. They're already cleaned up actually, and all I'm going to do is take my pin vise and I'm going to drill the holes where the pin would go through right there, and then right there. Okay, just to kind of, you know, add a little bit of the element of detail to it. So that was just a quick note, and I'm going to continue on. Again, like I said, there's not a whole lot to talk about because this thing's just going together like it's supposed to. No problems, no hassles, nothing really to talk about. It's pretty straightforward. Very beginner friendly model, so just about anybody can build it. So anyway, I'm going to work on that a little bit and then come back.